Every time a film becomes bigger in scale owing to the property becoming a franchise, I just hope that the tale does not transform into a viewer's biggest fear: style taking over substance. Empuraan has had an insane marketing run prior to its release. By revealing 30 of its characters, it almost seemed like Prithviraj as a director was more than ready to take up this challenge. Empuraan was never an afterthought, as Prithviraj always envisioned this tale to be a trilogy. This is what especially brought faith to viewers. Usually the case of sequels is to essentially cash in on the success of the first film, but here we had a director who had a clear vision of how this franchise gets explored. We finished the first film with Stephen, played by Mohanlal, dealing with the loss of his mentor PKR and identifying the dynamics within the Ramdas family, specifically the growing influence of Bobby, played by Vivek Oberoi, and his shady dealings to fund the IUF. As Stephen curtails the rise of Bobby as IUF's face and ensures Jatin Ramdas, played by Tovino Thomas, PKR's only son, to take over as Chief Minister of Kerala, it seems like Stephen's work has been done. The first film left us with a shocking revelation in the end that Stephen is not a mere legislator that worked under PKR, but the head of an influential syndicate, and his real name is Qureshi Abraham. We are introduced to Empuraan now, 5 years later after Lucifer. Qureshi Abraham is nowhere in the vicinity of Kerala, and the political dynamics within the state have significantly changed. The film primarily focuses on the conflict among the various syndicates internationally that deal with not only gold and ammunition trade but also drugs. This includes three factions, which are the American and British, the Chinese and Africans, and the Qureshi nexus. As various developments occur in the political landscape of Kerala, Stephen, aka Qureshi, is called upon to return to God's own country in order to save it from crumbling. What has happened in the political landscape that Qureshi is urged to return? What are the changing dynamics in the IUF and the Ramdas household? And what are the origin stories of someone like Zayed, played by Prithviraj, form the basic storyline of Empuraan or Lucifer 2. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch the film in theaters or not. Scale and callbacks. It is absolutely undeniable that the scale of Empuraan is meant to be witnessed on the big screen. This is the scale movies that set out to become pan-Indian films also do not end up executing. Prithviraj as a director is adamant to shoot in real locations, where he can make use of the natural environment and light versus adopting green screen studios and recreate the locations digitally. This does in turn enhance the visual quality of the film, contributed with great skill by cinematographer Sujit Vasudev. I mean, you have the film going from Turkey, China, London, Senegal, France, Iraq, Kashmir, and while this is important in order to highlight the sheer influence of Qureshi, it also acts as one of the exhausting qualities of this film, because the audience that loves Lucifer is not here to be impressed by the locations, but to be invested in what a writer like Murli Gopi is known for: his screenplay and the way he maneuvers around the personalities within the film, with his own style of biblical references. Irrespective of what people expected, the film from a scale and visual standpoint really hits a bullseye. I especially love the way in some sequences they captured Mohanlal, the presence of Stephen aka Qureshi almost being an ominous figure, reminding me of the Batman quote, "They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows." In many cases when Mohanlal is at a distance, he is blurred, barely you're being able to tell his identity, giving him this intimidating yet mysterious aura, all traits associated with Baba Yaga or the devil himself. The sad reality that the audience will also have to accept is that the high moments in Empuraan are actually callbacks to the iconic moments of Lucifer. This snatches away any original identity for Empuraan, almost assuming that if a reaction is to be developed from the audience, it has to be through ways of nostalgia. For a film that is a commercial entertainer, I was shocked on how very little the audience hooted and cheered in this film. This is not some ordinary theatre or audience, okay? This is the morning of the first day filled with fans who want to celebrate Mohanlal on the big screen. However, these moments are few and far between. The only moments where the film genuinely makes you want to clap and cheer include an action scene where Mohanlal does his iconic challenge to the goons, and an exceptionally executed cold open that will make you look away as the sheer violence is gruesome and truly heartbreaking. Expected beats. One of the biggest drawbacks of Empuraan is that it is absolutely devoid of surprises. The problem is that from a screenplay perspective, the film introduces us to the problem or antagonist within the first few minutes. There is not a doubt in the audience's mind on the ulterior motive or intentions of some of the characters. There is no room for grey, and this leads to a predictable tale. You know that the man who can save the day is Stephen, aka Qureshi, and you very well know who he is up against. Who can be the root cause of the destruction of the fabric of Kerala? And this leads to a very generic approach towards storytelling, something that Lucifer was devoid of. What at least the first film allowed was a sense of doubt within you as a viewer to creep in regarding the loyalties of certain characters, and this caused for speculation and predictions while you are actively watching the film. There is nothing like that in the sequel. The villain is bad and we are to root for his death. Nothing more and nothing less. Cold open, commentary and performances. From a technical point of view and just the manner in which it has been captured, I think Prithviraj did an absolutely phenomenal job in setting up the origin story of Zaid. This gets the ball rolling for the film. The sequence is excruciating both from an emotional and violence point of view, but I think it invests the viewer from the word go. The only problem is that this cold open becomes the core conflict for the sequel versus a subplot. The sequence that showcases many innocent lives being lost in an ambush by fringe groups will definitely send chills down your spine. Prithviraj as a director creates an impression instantly. What I liked about the film also was how it is a commentary on the cultural and social fabric of Kerala as a state, concepts of secularism that the state prides itself in, and the aversion it has towards communalism finding its way in politics is shown in glimpses, but I acknowledge what the makers were going for. The common folk may not get a second chance or a new lease of life, but criminals taking the garb of politicians can sure as hell not only have a second chance, but revered as demigods by the public. I thought this concept could have been explored a little more by the film, however the style took precedent over such nuanced exploration. According to me, this film really does not give the freedom for its actors to shine. It is so heavily reliant on its scale and stylized slow motion shots that it takes away the beauty of what made Lucifer special, the conflicts that arise in the relationships among characters. If I were to really look deep, Manju Warrier as Priyadarshini does a commendable job, and so does Tovino Thomas as Jatin Ramdas. While Abhimanyu Singh as Balraj is mostly stoic and angry, he does as the script demands. Even a legend like Mohanlal is reduced to wearing grey and black ill-fitted clothes and mostly strutting out of his car versus really channelizing something special from his performance, something that he brought such depth to in the first film. I'll add a little more to the same in the conclusion. Honestly, the only people who brought some respite of chuckles only included Suraj, who was terribly underwritten in this film. Foreign actors and information dense. The film hyped the audience up with these announcements of foreign actors, and it just brought several theories among the public of where Empuraan may possibly go. This is where I want to also reference that the moment the film has a lot of hype, the moment we start reading too much into the marketing material, we are bound to be disappointed because, trust me, the audience does way more thinking about the possibilities this world can go to, sometimes way more than the makers themselves. The foreign actors who comprise of people in the intelligence agencies and the Nexus groups are a hit and a miss in this film, not really having a solid impression where you would be interested in them even being extended into this universe. I was the most excited for someone like Jerome Flynn, who I loved in Game of Thrones, but he is a mere vessel of communication in this movie versus having anything to contribute from a drama or conflict point of view. This is true for the likes of Andrea Tevadar too, just basic for the greater scheme of things, unassuming really. This made me also conclude that the need for Prithviraj to establish this nexus, the characters, the possible threats, all of it to showcase the influence of Qureshi was a very verbose form of storytelling. We knew he was powerful, we knew what he is capable of, but to flesh it out with one explosion after the other, with one rampage of bullets after the other, with one slow motion shot after the other, just seemed like an overkill, while the audience was more interested in how he is going to influence the political landscape of Kerala. Style over substance and analogies galore. This was my biggest fear when I saw the trailer of Empuraan. Stylistic action sequences will take center stage, and what made the first film so special will be abandoned. Prithviraj in the conflict of Lucifer made use of the mysterious character of Stephen so well. His love for the children in the orphanage, his protective side that comes out at the slightest threat, the balance between soft and political ruthlessness that emerges in a flash, all brilliantly utilized through close-ups and the focus on Mohanlal's expressive eyes. But here, most of the time, and I say most, Mohanlal is merely walking in slow motion with his shades on. Whenever there is an attempt to explore the identity of Qureshi or his intention, Mohanlal is handed over biblical references or analogies, never really taking the story forward, but frustrating viewers with these riddles and metaphors, making this entire tale good enough, but not great. I would conclude by saying I don't think Empuraan becomes a victim of huge expectations because we just wanted to be engaged in the human and familial drama and we got very little of it. The ultimate conflict with the antagonist is basic and becomes the entire focus of the film from start to finish. We meandered our way through several detours but ultimately got to an individual conflict, making Empuraan not really a delicious concoction of political conspiracy, familial trauma and egos at play, but a singular basic revenge story where genuinely style took over substance. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Empuraan. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle is right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.